Okay, today we are going to go over the most common reason that dogs bite people. And that reason is the people's approach. Dogs don't typically, I would say at least 25% of all dogs will have an adverse reaction towards people approaching them. And everybody's grandmama has said, you know, reach out your hand so that the dog can smell your hand. But the dog really doesn't care what your hand smells like. It can smell you from across the room. And a dog will typically come up to you and smell your legs or your feet or whatever and take in your information. And they don't really need to smell your hand. It's the walking towards the dog, approaching the dog, bending over towards it, staring at it, and reaching out your hand that the dog finds threatening, and so they defend themselves and they give warnings in a lot of different ways. The first one we are going to look at is Oscar. Now, Oscar is a known biter. Richard was just walking Oscar and tried to pet him or something, and he got bit. And Richard was bound and determined. I offered to take Oscar and take his leash off, but Richard was bound and determined that he wanted to do this himself. And he didn't quite understand what I was saying as I was coaching him through it. So I'm telling him to just be patient and let the dog come to him. Give it some space. So I stop him here because the dog is giving signals. The dog is licking his lips and curling his body just a little bit. So he's letting Richard know that he does not agree with his approaching him. So what I want Richard to do is just squat down, relax, and let the dog approach him. Once the dog approaches him, he'll usually touch you, rub on your leg or on your hand, and then he's saying, I'm okay being touched. But the dog turns away right about right here. And so Richard sees an opportunity, I guess, to sneak in. He's very hesitant. And he got bit pretty good right there. And where is it? Here we go. So this is the same. I gotta stop that. This is the same dog with a different person, and she's a little bit more patient. Now, she could put pressure on the leash and kind of pull him towards her to get him to walk towards her. She can even sweet talk him and go, come here, come on puppy, come here, She can coax him to come towards her, but if she at any point was to reach towards him to remove the leash, he would bite. But she's just choosing to just be patient and let him do it on his own. He's getting a drink of water, but I believe he's stalling. So he wants to escape into his room. And the only way he's going to get what he wants. There, see? He goes and he wants to be touched. He wants to be let off. So he's letting her know that it's okay. And she's patient, so he walks away. That's fine. So he comes back again. So she's building trust with him. See, he's relaxing right there. He's learning that this person is okay because she respects and understands the way that, you know, the dog feels. So this is rather unfortunate. So this dog was literally about 5 minutes from being adopted and walking out that door. And you're going to see the kid right here in the black just immediately is focused in on the dog and hones in on him and follows him everywhere and puts a lot of pressure on him. Right there, he goes for the hug. Now, they're a very sweet family, very affectionate, very sweet kid. You know, he had all good intentions, but dogs don't see it from a human perspective. They see it from a dog perspective. So everybody's going over the top. Now here's the kid again. He's very staring at him, focused right here. Right there. Georgie backs away. That's George's way of saying, hey, I don't feel comfortable, you need to back off. And the kid persists. He goes towards him again, but George got distracted by smelling. Otherwise, he would have gotten bit right there because George just warned him. So he goes again right. Oh no. You can see right there, he's already thinking about bending over again. And now the dad does it, you know. Pretty much everybody except the mom. But this is learned behavior, you know. Nobody's ever told these people that you shouldn't do that. Well, I did, but, you know, and the kids, you know, obviously probably picked it up from the dad. So Georgie comes over to me, and right here, I'm giving him affection, and I can't see his face. He's facing the other way. So I don't know, you know, his expression, and whatever he's feeling at this moment, by me petting him, I'm actually encouraging it. And then in comes the kid for another hug. Boom, right there. Now he wasn't hurt. He just had a red mark on his face. The skin wasn't broken, and he got really lucky. It could have been much worse. You know, this is the problem with, like, kids, and especially small kids like toddlers. They're right at face level. So the dog, like I said, doesn't see things from a human perspective. All it sees is this kid, this thing is coming towards me. It's reaching out towards me. You know, it's coming right at me, and I've warned it, and it's not listening, so I'm going to defend myself. And it doesn't mean that the dog is a bad dog. It's just doing what dogs naturally do. It doesn't see the kid as a person. It just sees the kid as, you know, whether it be another dog or something, animal that is approaching and not picking up on his signals. Oh, excuse me. So right here, this is the common grandmama syndrome. So just a note, this is a pit bull. And out of all these dogs, only one of them is a pit bull. Of course, got the Chihuahua and the Lab. And these are just, you know, the ones that I happen to catch either on security camera or live. But this guy here picked up this dog. The dog was in a spot where, in an area where people commonly from the city will drop dogs off in the country. And he saw the dog on the side of the road and opened the door and invited the dog in. And then he drove to our place. And so when he brings me over to introduce me to the dog, he says, oh, he seems like a nice dog. Hey, go ahead, you could reach in and pet him. But the dog was giving me clear indications that, you know, he was backing away, that he didn't want that. And of course I knew better. So I got a loop leash around his neck and just gotten him out of the car. And this girl, she's on the phone, so she's probably not paying a whole lot of attention. And she's just doing what everyone told her she's supposed to do. So she walks over, sticks her hand out, bends forward towards the dog, touches the top of his head, and he nails her. And he got it pretty good. You know, the dog, the ACO comes any minute now. And I did have to go, I don't know whatever happened to him, but I did go to the dog pound because I had to put a collar on him that he wasn't letting anyone near him. But because, I understand and I know how to gain his trust and respect, I was able to go down there and get a collar on him. And because, the officer came, they actually ended up calling an ambulance for the girl. It's probably a bit much, but... And this is the all too common "my dog hates men," which is a myth. I've never met a dog that hates men. The reason why people think that is because of the way men approach is a little bit more forward than women. So when men approach a dog, they typically go towards it, oh, hey, puppy, come here, and they want to pet it and wrestle with it and stuff like that. So as the guy approaches, the dog may back away from him and bark at him and give indications that he doesn't like the person. It's not true. He just finds his approach to be, threatening. And whereas a woman may bend over and say, oh, come here, sweetheart, and then the dog approaches them, and so it does it on its own, and it's a lot less threatening. And we're going to see all this right here.
And people can't approach her either. Like, I take her everywhere with me, and I'll tell people, please don't approach her. If she approaches them, she's fine. But if someone goes to, oh, hi, look at your dog, she freaks out and tries to bite.
Does she ever actually bite?
She's gotten me a couple times just for, like, stupid stuff.
Like when she wasn't looking and you reached to
Yeah. Or I went to move her and she didn't want to be moved. But I first got her sleeping was bad, because if I moved, she'd go after me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I treat him.
So, it's funny that she said that. A lot of times when, people adopt a dog, for the first 3 days or so, they may wake up and not realize where they are. They're in a strange place with strange people, or you may wake up in the middle of the night and wake the dog up and it doesn't know who you are. You could startle it that way, or try to pet it while it's sleeping. And which, so what happened to her, she was having the dog sleep in her bed, and when she would move in the middle of the night, move her foot, the dog didn't realize that it was her and who she was. It just knows that something from under the blanket or whatever bumped into her, and she bit it,
Like they're babies instead of dogs, and I know I didn't that.
So you could put pressure like that. You could put pressure on the leash and get the dog to come to you like that. And my posture, I'm squatted down, I'm sideways to the dog, so I'm non-threatening. I'm not like directly going in on her.
So she's pretty like insecure. That's why she does that. It's out of fear. Not real bad though. No. Or if you surprise her, or if you come in direct, she's gonna react like that.
The only one I have one girlfriend that she's good with. Other than that, no one can pretty much go near her. I mean, she's doing really good with you guys.
Well, it probably has a lot to do with the way your girlfriend approaches. Because a lot of people, they want the dog to like them, and you think, oh, that's nice, it's okay, oh, you can hug me. See? But if I come down less threatening, then I get...
So, now you see, I was clearly just petting this dog and no issues. The dog is not coming after me. It's not trying to attack me. But I could turn it on very easily by doing what she finds aversive, by coming in at her like that. And I could turn it off very easily by backing off, So it's not, and it's sad because a lot of times the dog gets blamed. When the dog bites somebody and they've got to go get stitches, it's a bad dog, that dog's aggressive, these dogs even get put down. And it's not the dog's fault, it's the people, it's their approach. Like I said, dogs don't see things from a human perspective, they see things through a dog's perspective. Now, if I walked right up to a strange person on the street and went, "Oh my God, you're so cute," I walked up and I tried to hug them, they'd probably punch me, It's the same thing. They feel the same way. It's no different. So, a couple quick statistics. Dog bites and other related injuries account for more than 1/3 of all homeowners' liability claims. 1/3. That's a lot when you think of slip and falls and other things that can possibly happen. 6,750 U.S. Postal Services were attacked in 2016. There are approximately 4.5 million dog bites each year in the United States. Nearly 1 out of 5 bites becomes infected. Now that number is definitely way off because these are only recorded bites. These are only bites that required, hospital attention or medical attention or were reported to authorities. So, for instance, I have at least a half a dozen scars on me, and I've only sought medical attention for one of them. So there's 5 out of 6 right there that weren't even reported. More than 28,000 people underwent reconstructive surgery as a result of being bitten by dogs. Now, I would venture to guess that a large portion of these are going to be children, small children, because like I said, they're at face level. This is funny. So, adults with 2 or more dogs in the household are 5 times more likely to be bitten than those living without dogs in the home. Oh, duh. And I would also venture to guess that people that have 2 or more dogs as opposed to people that have only 1 dog are more likely to get bitten because the odds increase with more dogs, and the odds also increase that, if the dogs themselves get into a fight, that you'll get bit or redirected on, breaking it up. So the most common reason that people get bit is the way that they approach a dog. You should never approach a dog. Never. They should always come to you. The dog's going to come to you. He's going to smell your feet, your legs. If you squat down like this, you're inviting the dog to come closer to smell these parts of your body that it couldn't access. So typically when you squat down, even if the dog has walked away, he's going to come back. At that point, he's probably touching on you. So then it would be okay to reach in on the side here, low, not over the top of the head or the back. Reaching on the side of the neck or the shoulder area, and just give him a little pet. And that's how you're going to earn their trust and respect. So if the dog walks away, let it go. You don't have to be in any hurry to make friends with the dog. And when it comes back and does it again, and you give it a nice little pet, and it walks away, every time you do that, you're earning the dog's trust and respect. You're saying that I understand how you feel, and I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on you. And so the dog respects that, and he learns to trust you that way. There are other obvious reasons why dogs bite. Resource guarding, that's pretty easy. Don't stick your hand in the bowl. Don't take things out of the dog's mouth. I mean, you can hire a trainer, and there's ways that you could just teach the dog. You could pretty much trick him into just giving it to you on command. So just telling him to drop it, and then he'll drop it. Or telling him out, and then he'll get out of the food bowl. And territorial, there was something in those statistics about mailmen. That would be a territorial thing. But the main reason people get bit is their approach, and the dog usually is the one that gets blamed. So stop approaching dogs. I always tell people, just think of them as a coffee table that moves. So when you come into my house, you are not going to pay any special attention to my coffee table. It's no different than any other one. You're not going to tell me how cute it is or try to touch it. You're probably not even going to notice it. So when you walk into a room, just completely ignore the dog. It'll come to you, it'll smell you, it'll get its information that it needs, and then it'll walk away. Then you can squat down sideways and do what we just talked about. But never, I know everybody's grandma said, the dog wants to smell your hand. It doesn't care what your hand smells like. Like I said, it'll pick up your scent from 10 feet away. But if you stare at the dog, and if you reach for the dog, and you walk towards the dog, and then you talk in a submissive tone, oh, hi, puppy. So you're saying, I'm coming in a threatening manner, but I'm giving a submissive tone, so it portrays weakness or insecurity, which is more threatening because a fearful animal is a threat, and that's what you come across as. So that's why the dog will defend itself. And that's the number one reason why people get bit. And it can be pretty much almost eliminated if people change their approach when it comes to dogs. So I hope this helps.